Hi, it's Lyle from Made by Marley. Welcome back to our channel. Today I will be creating bright, bougie and Bridgerton furniture. Follow along and see how I did this. Okay, so this is today's victim. This would have been a landfill save. We bought it in auction, but unfortunately this drawer, this cupboard didn't open. The key was lost, and after much lock picking, Martin's taken. This was supposed to be last week's video, but Martin couldn't get it open. But eventually he won. He got it, and now we can come and break into your homes.
Yeah, my subtle attempts at picking the lock failed. In the end, brute force was the order of the day.
I mean, without the cupboard opening, it was going to be one of those ones where what do you do with it? I mean, you could take the whole back off it. You could try and cut a hole in the bottom. We thought of all the different things. I said, even if we had to damage this front, we could have open shelves. We went through every connotation, and I said to Martin, can we just have another look at this? And I was busy doing something. I could hear a whole lot of creaking and I went, oh, and then when I turned around, it was open. So he's done it. It's missing handles up here. I've got a photograph which I'll get Martin to put there of how nasty this was. A cutlery drawer, and it was full of green baize, but it was also, it had bits in the cutlery drawer which were blue. The bits were all broken, all the separators. There was bits of wood. It was a crime scene. So Martin's tidied it all up, and I'm going to paint inside of it. So there's no handles on that one either. It's got a lot of dings, got a lot of chips, it's got a lot of scratches, it's got some cut marks, it's still got the sticker from the auction on it. What I'm going to do is
Perfect.
yeah, it's in great nick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get Martin to remove all of these handles, and then I'm going to give it a really good clean and get all the stickers and stuff off of it, and then we will be back with what we're going to do today. Okay, so the piece has been thoroughly cleaned, the handles have been removed, sanded the residue away, filled the holes in the middle of these doors because I don't really want a handle slap bang in the middle. I'll probably get back to move the handles more to this edge. These handles obviously won't be going back on because it was too messing. What am I painting it with? I'm painting 2 coats of in this container. Now it's a very odd choice for me because it's a very dark grey. I've got Whistler's Grey from Annie Sloan. It isn't in one of my sauce bottles, so this is how it looks. Yeah. And Oxford Navy, which is the dark blue. So I've mixed these together to get this, it's kind of almost like aircraft grey. And how am I going to be painting this piece? On the parts where it's not too bad, I'm going to be doing a crosshatch motion. Well, actually, these are going to be decoupage, so the drawers can be smooth. But when I get to the top, I'll be doing crosshatch motion. See round all of here, I'll be doing a stippling just to kind of blend in some of those chips. Yeah, so I'll be working my way like that on the chips. Just on the chips. There's a few chips, and just kind of smoother strokes on the parts where I'm going to be decoupaging because I don't want bubbles in my decoupage. Okay, so I'm going to get on, and the next time you see this, it'll be a very fetching shade of dark grey. It's almost a sort of dark kind of lavender purple actually in real life. That's its sort of more true colour, but it's going to serve us as a really good base. Okay. Okay, what's the plan for today? The plan is decoupaging without disasters. That's the first thing. Like, we don't go over that enough, but we're going over it again today. And the second thing is, don't know if you've been watching it, but Bridgerton. Okay, so my inspo is, I designed some paper. And my inspo was, you know, in Bridgerton, when they go out and they go to the botanics and there's like exotic birds in cages, all that Victorian sort of, just all the niceness, I mean, I think I'm probably doing my piece more towards Penelope's dress before she had a glow up. But if you don't watch Bridgerton, this makes no sense. But I'm thinking of peacocks in ornate cages and flowers and botanics and a damask pattern underneath it. Now, there's an awful lot going on there, so I'm just going to show you. I haven't got my glasses. I think I've left them over in the house.
Nope.
Oh no, Matt's going to get my glasses. Matt's life is spent finding my glasses because I can't see them to find them. Right, okay. So this is the main sheet. Yeah. So there's two of these parrots.
That's okay. It's good.
I can take it out of the. I've got a set out of the. There's my parrots. There they are. And you can see I've got all the florals, I've got the damask pattern, I've got that sort of kind of scrolly effect, and then I've added lots of Made by Marley Joy on top of it. What I'm trying to do when I design decoupage now is I am thinking of furniture artists. I know that not just furniture artists buy our paper, but I think that sometimes we're a loss when it comes to drawers. So I've designed this. This is your cut line for drawers. It's probably going to go up this way and we're going to blend all this in. But we're going to keep it really simple this week. We're not going to be doing too much complicated blending. We're going to get our paper on. I think I'll start with the drawers first. So let's just go for it. I had scissors in my hand. Yeah, so I don't know if you've been watching Bridgerton, but I actually inspired, this paper was inspired from me watching Bridgerton. So
I mean, that's great.
the only thing about this is mine is a bit more bougie than Bridgerton, but that's okay. Right, let's just have a wee look-see of what we're going to do here, because I'm going to have to flip round. I want this ornateness at the top, yeah, and I'm going to lose this part here. I will join, probably. Will I join or will I blend? Oh, the great big crises of the day. I want to try and keep it simple. And as I said, it's about navigating disasters, because we all have them with decoupage paper. And I only kind of really found this out sort of recently because we're doing a bit of blending in our decoupage group. Yeah, I think this is what I'm going to do in my drawers. But this one's going to be much thin. So let's just kind of get the measurements for this one and start up the top. Now, since I'm going to be joining them, I do not need to cut. I do not need to rip. If you're blending, rip it, because that helps you blend it. If you are fitting it into an aperture like this, because this has got a small rim all the way around, then you're cutting. That's the simple way to remember it. If you want to cut your paper, always cut it from the white side when you fold it, because that way you're going to see it better. Well, that's the hope anyway. I can already tell this is just not straight. And then really, just good job for, there's going to be a little bit of blending now. Okay, so I want this part at the top. So this part is going to go on like this. But I am going to get rid of this. This is not pleasing me. Now, I won't have paper that's going to match this, but I'm just going to show you how I'm going to put it over the top. And that'll be one first thing that you probably kind of encounter when you're doing sort of things like this. Sorry, Martin, I have been really lax and not found brushes. That's a bit silly of me, isn't it? Twirly. There's one. Oh no, that's not good. Sorry, just excuse me while I twirl around. I bet it's in here. Yeah, there it is. This will do nicely. Now I need to find my cloth because it's a little bit damp. Oh, preparation is key. Right, okay, so Mod Podge, right? Let's be having you. Now, you don't need to paint your furniture first if you use Made by Marley paper. When you're applying your Mod Podge, you really need to make sure that it's smooth. You don't want big ridges in your glue. That's going to give you, it's going to give you wrinkles. Now, I might get a couple of bubbles where these handles and where the key is, but I probably will come back and put something over that key. I'll break my rules and put a little bit of a mould over there, I think. Right, so more than you need over your space. So you go, my paper's only going to get to here, but I've gone way over because these are the parts that are going to glue this edge down. And there's no lumps and there's no bumps, and I'm happy. All the glue has been applied. If the glue isn't applied, you're going to get lumps. You're going to get bubbles because there's nothing for the paper to stick onto. All right. And you are literally going to stick it on and you're just going to wipe it. That is all you're going to do. Now there. Was that tricky? Now, it is smooth. The trick is with my paper is to now, no matter how much you're tempted, because as soon as the moisture hits it, it's going to bubble a little bit, but that's okay. We know there's no wrinkles on it now. Let it bubble, they'll all go back down. So that's applied. What next? So let's just get our sizing right here. I'm going to cut this edge off here. I put all the sort of, I mean, okay, ignore the Made by Marley bit where I did a Lel and put all the flowers on, but all these are like sort of Edwardian, the damask pattern behind there, these scrolls. I was really thinking of Bridget, and I was obviously thinking about Penelope's dress before she had her glow up. Right. Do I want this to go onto here? Will I take it and make it one? I really want these joined up if I can. I want my line on it. Let's just... Now, I'm going to show you that old fix that I've shown you before, but I'll show you again. Let's just cut this bit out and get this bit stuck on, and then I'll show you how to make it look like it never happened. Or it probably will still look like it happened. Who knows? Plenty of glue. And let me just get this the right way up. That might help. I took it over, didn't I? I can see that this piece here is going to need a bit of cutting with a knife because it's a little bit higher than my space that it's going into. Now, rub it with a soft cloth. Now, you can see already, the keen-eyed amongst you, which isn't difficult to see, that there's a disaster going on here. This is not what we want. So what are we going to do? Don't really want to bite into this too much. Let's do something like... Don't mind that bit blue being there. I don't think it needs the yellow line. Yeah. So you just fussy cut and can join it. Plenty of glue. And I'm just going to work with that blue pattern underneath it, like that. Put that over there, just like it's a layered flower. So.
No, you can't see it.
Well, I know it's there, and you now know it's there because I've pointed it out to you, but nobody else will know it's there. Now I need to finish this part with this part over here, so I'm just going to, do you know what I'm probably going to do? I'm wondering whether I've got enough that, because I'm going to have to, I want to try and salvage this big yellow one because we're going to have to do something similar, but I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough paper. Let's do this. See how bold I've been there? It's probably not enough to fill this aperture. Let's get rid of this yellow part. See if we can... No, because we need this pattern at the top. There.
You're lucky there.
Was I? Or maybe I was just really good. Maybe I'm just epic, Martin.
Yes, you are, darling.
From the man who sees me cut things wrong on a daily basis. No. Stick that up in there. Now we're going to come back and we're going to paint all in here. So don't, this little rim on here. Oh, no, I have done it right. I was thinking, is this wrong? Now, I did try and salvage this yellow one. So let's just see what we can do with this. Now, I had to cut a bit of it off. So we're going to have to try and make this look a bit more pretty. Like it hasn't been cut in a straight line. Because that is a bit of a tail, isn't it? There. Get rid of this bit here as well now. There. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this here. Now, because we've got one going that way, I think what we'll do is we'll put this one going up this way, because that's how I roll. Now, once I've done one drawer, I'm going to go away and do the drawer underneath, and then we'll get to the cupboards. I'll do one cupboard and I'll show you a cupboard, and then that way it's not as laborious. I think I could do with a bit of yellow over here now, Matt. What do you think?
I agree.
I'll have to wait till I go into my next sheet to get that, but I will. I'm thinking that's a shame, isn't it? Because I'll leave this just now. I don't want to get into, I'm going to have to, hang on a minute. I didn't rub that.
You have picked a rather large piece of furniture to do this on.
It is.
So I can always go and print a couple more sheets for you.
Can I say this piece has been in the shed since about last October. That's why we didn't know the drawer didn't open. It was such a bargain, and I was about to move into the house. So we covered it in a blanket, and it's been sitting out here all winter, and I knew it was here and I wanted to do it. See, the thing about it is it's not too wide for a modern home, but its length, but see its width, it's very deep. But Martin says,
that's good.
More things you can put on it. He's obviously going from the school of
drawers.
Lael here. There. Now, I haven't got any wrinkles on this. I just want you to know there is no wrinkles, and any that do come up, it's just dampness in the Mod Podge, and they will go back down. Right, I'm going to get to the one below it now. Okay, so with All Made by Marley paper, is if you're going to be blending, it's better to rip it, and that's what I've done. If you're finding that you're blending, you don't want to blend out to this lip, then just get your contrasting paper and cut this out instead of ripping it, and put this in so that it all works together. I'm going to blend it out and maybe do some stuff around here as per usual. You know, I can't just have it normal. So this is my parrot, my beautiful parrots. And again, I'm trying to keep that sort of Victorian sort of, I knew what I meant when I was doing it. It's just, that's it. That's all I'm going to say about it, really. Right, okay, so Mod Podge. Why am I using Mod Podge? Because for our paper, I tested so many different papers that I find Mod Podge makes it the best application. It's a more robust paper than tissue paper, which means that you don't have to paint it white. And it also means as well that, you know, you need maybe a bit more of a heavier glue, and that's why I use Mod Podge. I use the matte Mod Podge because sometimes if you go over onto your furniture, if you're using a one with like a sheen on it, you're going to see that. Although you can combat that when you top coat it, it normally just disappears, but just in cases. Again, I'm going further than I know my decoupage is going to go. See here, can you see the way the distribution of the glue is thicker? And here, and here, and here. These are the things that are going to give you wrinkles every single time. So at this point in time, it's better to just take your time. Now, you've already seen me do the other side, and I messed around with it for quite a while, and that's the thing I tell you not to do. Martin already said, Martin looked over and said, I think you should leave it alone, but I had a bit of a wrinkle, so I kept fiddling with it. So, and I think what happened was I was rushing, and my glue application wasn't as smooth as obviously this is. But now I'm being professional on camera. I am just going to line up my little parrots to where I want them. Push down till you get to the bottom. It doesn't matter about this lip yet. Get your soft cloth. From the centre, go up. From the middle, go down. Then go out to your edges. And give it a good rub. And you should be good. Now, what I tend to do, because we're going to be blending to this, is I like to make sure, see, when you get the odd wrinkle, it's time to act on those ones, but don't go back and back and back to it. There's a bit of it on there. Right, Mod Podge, run it down this self edge here, because what that's going to do is that's going to help you blend, and it's going to stop lift when you add paint. Make sure that kind of happens. Fix your reps and make sure, like, see here how here's wrinkled at the edge. See this? This is going to give you bad blending. So the best thing to do is kind of like put a bit more glue under it and get your finger and just go down it and smooth it all out, because you really want it to be smooth when you're going to blend up against it. Now, as I said, give this 5 minutes and it'll be all wrinkly, because that's just the moisture on the back of the paper. But I am going to pretty much, even though I can see wrinkles coming up, I am going to leave this now alone. Okay, I might get a Stanley knife blade and just cut here, because there's a couple of parts. See up here. Oh, look at this. Look at this. What was I doing? I have no idea what happened there, but it's a good job I noticed it. I think I was so busy trying to work on the piecing. I don't really like this piece here, so I mean, I think maybe I got a little bit distracted, and that happens with me quite easily, Martin, doesn't it? There's another. What did you say?
It does.
Right, okay.
Sorry, did that come out? Oh, darling, no, nothing of the kind.
Right, okay, I'm going to leave this alone. While this is all drying, I've got to say at this point in time, the colour of my paint was quite dark, so I didn't go back over and give it a second coat. We will have to second coat the legs, even though they don't look like they need one. I think I might just give them one anyway, just to be on the safe side, and up round here if they need anything, but I don't think it does. But the top is only had one coat, but we're only going to give it one coat, because now we're going to get up there and we're going to do something interesting and blendy up the top using and using some stencils, we're going to try our best to get some of this detail here, this pattern, without showing them the wrinkles, here on the top. And I'm going to use a sort of baroque type or sort of kind of ornate stencil for the top to get this sort of look. And we're going to do grey blue in the centre, and we're going to move it out, and we're going to shift it out to sort of yellows on some sides and pinks on others. We'll see how this goes. Okay. Okay, the top. I'm trying to recreate, can you see all these colours here? Behind here, the greys, there's sort of blue tones, there's darker greys, there's a beige. See here? Trying to recreate this in this blend on the top. So the colours I've got are Giverny, I've got some old white, I've got some cocoa. Giverny is a sort of kind of some nice bright light blue. Cocoa is a beigey brown. There's white. There's Hornflower, which is brown, and I've got this is Whistler's Grey, which went to mix up this along with the Oxford Navy. So I've got all of these different shades, and I think probably the best thing to do is me just to kind of get your blending brush. I was just looking at my blending brushes and going, this brush here is awful, but it's a really good one, and I prefer it over this one. I think this might be the one that we actually use. I realise at this point that I should have water, and I haven't. Okay, so let's just, I'm going to be doing it stippily, so let's just kind of like get some colours. I'm just going to set that on there just now on here so that we can kind of start this off. Yeah, and the original. So let's kind of start round the edges with the original first. Sorry, Matty, it's not easy to film. I've got cameras above me, so when Martin stops filming me with this camera, the camera above me should hopefully catch what I'm doing. I'm just putting the darker, I need some water on my brush. Secret to good blending is water, and this is a big hefty blending brush, so it needs quite a bit of water. I try and avoid putting the water onto my furniture. Try and take that around the edges as well. Right, now we're going to start bringing in some of our colours. So let's start with the Giverny. Okay, it's going to be kind of difficult to blend because I don't want it to be overpowering.
I'm just going to come on the other side, okay?
Sorry, Mary. I've just put the original Whistler's Grey into this. I'm going to dip a little bit in the white. Get more water on the brush. Back in with the Whistler's Grey again. Just kind of tap it out when it gets out there. We can put more dark in there. Why am I doing this? Because there's cracks and scratches on the top of the furniture. So I'm not doing a smoothie blend because I'm trying to kind of, I'm in with the brown now. I'm trying to kind of camouflage that all at the same time. Remember the water. So I literally, and Mark's going to catch all of this anyway, but this is what I'm going to be doing now. I'm just going to blend. You can see what I'm doing. They're mingling. Bit white here. And I'm just mingling all these together, and I'm hoping that at the end that it gives me a sort of kind of this. Now I can see from this there's more Giverny in it than you think, so I'm going to put a wee bit more of that into it. And I'm not so worried about the edges, because the edges I'm going to come back with sort of yellows around the edges and stuff, so not worried just now. I have got, which I'll just show you now. Now, it's had a lot of kaolin clay on it, bentonite clay, so it's not the best looking stencil, but where did I see it? I saw it somewhere in this pattern. See, when I'm making decoupage paper, I just layer it and layer it and layer it until I can't see it anymore. there is a pattern somewhere like this in here, and I think we'll go in with that first, and then we'll worry about how we're going to do some white designs and maybe some of the scroll stuff. But we just have to kind of build it up in layers, and the first thing we need to do before we can do anything is we need some colour on it. So that's all I'm doing. Okay. I always say okay, don't I? I need to stop saying it. Right. So I'm looking at this colour here in the background. This colour, this grey, this colour here. This is the colour I kind of want to do over the top of this, right? So in my, I don't know why I think this, it probably can be completely wrong, but I've got some cocoa here just in case. I think if I use all the colours that I used on the top and I kind of put them together, save mixing any more paint, I think I'm going to get something that's kind of like what I'm looking for. Yeah, I think we're kind of there actually. It would maybe a wee bit lighter. Try some of this. Lighten up a wee bit.
That mix mat's great.
Aren't they? But those hairs on my brush are not. Right, okay, so stencil brush. I'm just going to use what I've got here because I'm just saturated. It's a long bristle brush. Sorry, everything seems to be molten. And what I'm doing here is, although I'm putting it on and I'm offloading, I'm making sure that it gets down to about here. You see where my previous blue's been, even though my brush has been washed. You know, I want to fill my brush out, but I don't want to have it too much. So, you know, this is about as much as I need. Now, my stencil has truly seen better days, to be honest with you. Stencils get wrecked if you use clay a lot on them, and when I do raised stencils, even though you wash them, they kind of end up a little bit ugly. In fact, I think I'll put this side down on the furniture and this side up on the furniture. Right, I'm just wanting to do a sort of general kind of thing here, so I think I'll start here and we'll see how we go. We might can come back and distress this slightly, but it's not distressed in the actual design because I put it on there. So now,
Looks nice.
is that okay, Martin?
Okay. like you need my permission. You know,
It's just
my
the way
approval.
it was almost as if you went, I'm just trying to get the top like the back. Now there's going to be a lot more going on this top. However, what I'm going to do is, once I've got this on, I'm going to let it dry and start working on the fronts, because I've got two options. I can either keep the bottom half crisp, or I can come back and I can do the same sort of blending on the front and move it out with flowers and things. And I'm thinking, oh, I don't know what to do, but I'll get down in a minute and we'll blend out the top. So I'm just going to get on, and I am just going to create a pattern for this so that we're kind of okay with where everything's going to go. I'm just making it up as I go along, really. Okay. Okay, so the secret to blending is to get rid of this edge first. And I'm just using this original colour. And I'm just making sure that I eradicate any of those edges. You can see it's going to start to lift as soon as I start putting moisture on it, but it will go back down. Let's just go along here. I did cut this with a knife, but it was so well glued on that I couldn't actually get it. There's another bit there. What did I do with my blade? I'll ignore this part just now, and let's just do here. So let's look at what we've got to play with. We've got greens and a sort of turquoisey colour. So without... No, it was just I was leaning in the paint there.
I thought you wanted to show your palette. Sorry.
My palette's a little bit messy. I sometimes find it's easier to blend when it's a little bit wetter underneath. So let's just kind of get these basics on first. I can already see I need to change my brush to this one. Now we're going to go in with the sort of the blues. Now there is no kind of secret sauce to this. The secret is just to look at what colours you've got going on and add them. Just add them around. So that's got a little bit blue. Now we can see we've got a wee bit of this. Let's just mix that in there. And let's just blend that out again. All right. Now let's just do a grey blend on this part till we get down to the tree. So starting again, we're putting, we've still got the green on our brush. That's going to make it interesting. Go back over that again with the grey. And then what I'm going to do, because that happened, I'm just going to dip some dark in there just to kind of neutralise what just happened. Now I've got a lighter grey for the centre. We'll get back up to there in a minute. Back onto this white. Grey for the centre. And then I'm just going to eradicate this part here. Get rid of that too. Right, okay, so now we're going to be doing our branch. I've got so many different brushes here. Oh, very turquoisey. Now we need a little bit black in here. And this is while my paint is wet. If you feel it's getting too muddy, dry your work. And then what you do is And this is the secret of blending. You just play around with your paint until you get it exactly the way you want it. Now, that is not right, because I can see that I need a little bit of a lighter sort of green shade here. There's also some brown in this. Now what I do is I normally kind of run a little bit, if I can't quite get it right, I run a little bit of my actual paint into the paper itself. Now I can see the sort of reddy tones here. Blend that down. Now I need to take a lot more time off camera, but blending is just seeing the colours that you see, but trying to work out how you're going to make this work as a kind of as a piece. Now I need a little bit of a darker edge there. Blend that edge away. But it is a tree, so we need a bit more brown. A bit more brown. Right. Okay, I've fiddled enough around with the tree. We'll get back to the tree in a minute. I'll let that dry off a bit. Okay, so far, because I've already done the other side, so I'm just having a wee look at what's going on with the other side. I did the tree. There is going to be stamping on this part here, but I can still see there's parts that aren't good, and that's these parts here. You can do something like, if you get a clean brush in the water, and I do have white here, you can do something like this. My brush is a little bit grey. Now we're going to come back with stamp and do something over here, so try and get that a little bit whiter if I can. I think what we'll do is we'll do a sort of leaf here, and it's got a bit of brown in it because I can see the brown, and there's a fly flying around the stable. Now I'm just going to leave this side now. I'm not going to fiddle around with it too much. I don't like in here, so let's just try and match this blue and this blue together. So let's start with some of this and put that down in here amongst this pattern. Get that shape there. Bring that down here. It's got a kind of darker blue, so I'm just putting shadows in there. Come back with that in a minute. Right, so this side is not too bad, but let's have a look up the top. I'm not going to do it all, I'm just going to go as far as up the top, and I'll get Martin to catch the rest on the camera. Right, I'm just going to bring that whole lot, even though it's the wrong colour, it doesn't matter. I just need paint to start with. So I've got some of the red and some of the blue, and let's just kind of do that for the purple. The greens, clean brush. Over to here now. Back to some grey. We need a lighter grey. So I'm a bit in my paint there. There's loads of flies now. Bring that down here. It's a little bit too light, so I'm going to get some of the original grey and just run that up here, because when I got to here I started to paint in these flowers. I'm not panicking about this part here yet because I've got a stamp that covers this. and it doesn't look too bad. So let's just, I think what I did was I got some black and I did a little bit of shadow around here though. Shadow, and then blend that in. Yeah. Now here I've got a flower to contend with, and I need a little bit of a darker. Just going to eradicate that white bit. Now back to the little brush, because we want to get rid of this part here. Wrong colour. And then we're going to need, you're going to need some of this as well, because it's got some of this colour in. And this flower comes. Can you see what I'm doing? I need to put paint on it first to make it move, and then I go back and I kind of make it look a bit more realistic. That's all I'm doing. Right, I'm going to get on and do the rest off camera, because I'm sure you're bored to tears now at this point. Yeah? That okay, Martin? Is it?
Yep.
Back to this. Okay, I've got a little stamp here. I have no idea what set or where it's from. I just found it at the bottom of a pile, and I think I'm trying to get, you know, this sort of shape that's behind there again. On this, normally it would be lighter, but I've got a grey. This is stone grey, so it's a little bit dark. It's just so it shows up. I'm just going to stamp this kind of randomly, because this is the underneath layer before we put the white over the top. It's not hugely seen, but I just want it to be, you know, like that it's definitely there, you know, that I have tried to kind of do that part. Whoop, that didn't come out very nicely. I think actually I could do with my grey ink being filled up a bit. This is I've got a nasty transition here, but we're going to cover all of that in a minute. So I realised when I did the other side that I hadn't done this branch. I haven't done that branch on that side, Martin.
Oh well.
So I'll need to go back in and do it. Just make sure you kind of get it to the edge to make it look like it's kind of, you know, a print. Right, so that's that part. Then what did I do? Now, this is a redesign by Prima Stamp. I have no idea. I'm at a loss. I don't know what it's called. It's the one that, if you've been watching me for a long time, that when I did the design, it looked like a bit like pineapples. Is that one? Can you remember what that's called, Martin?
No, but I can do a little bit of digging and find out if you
Find
like.
out. Okay, so I've got plenty of white on my roller here. This is what I'm going to do next. I am going to roll this with the white, and I'm making it really wet because I really want it to show up. It's a finer stamp than this thick area here when I put the sort of detail behind it, but I want this to go kind of here. Doesn't matter if it goes on here because this is going to need a second coat. Remember, I said I wasn't sure whether I was going to blend it, but I've decided for once in my life, I'm just going to keep it simple. I still have the top to finish, but I'm just going to do it all nice grey so it's nice and kind of almost slick, unlike my normal stuff. So that's quite interesting.
It is, yeah.
I don't worry about this. This is going to be yellow in a minute. Right, so that's that. And again, with my stamp really quite wet, my roller, sorry, not my stamp. Well, my stamp has to be wet, yeah, but my roller's wet as well. It's just so it kind of makes it a little bit thicker when it's printed. How did I do it on this one? I went up the way. So it's kind of, see here. Don't really want that to touch the back. Push on it just in case. Don't mind it going over that flower though. Right. And maybe turn it around, and I think I really want to target this leaf here. Maybe. Yeah. Now, when this is all dry, I need to paint. I've done the other side, but what I'm going to do is where is it? I threw it in my water. For some reason, I'm using the worst brush in the world, but it's actually working out really nice. It's not an important brush. It's not even a fancy one, but it's doing the job. What I'm going to do is, I got that bit off. I don't know if you saw my camera. I'd already cut it, but when it got damp, it just ripped off. So I'm going to go along here now. I don't particularly want it to go in here, but I can touch it up. But I'll show you in a minute when I get to here. I'm going to do some stuff like that and bring it in. I don't want to touch near the white right now. Oh, I'm going everywhere. Don't worry. It's got to have a second coat anyway. But then other times I put my brush on my side and I'm wanting it quite crisp. It's not blurry all of the time. So I'm just going to keep it quite tidy here. Hopefully Marty caught me on the camera painting that flower in, because I'm just was trying to make a sort of flower that kind of was something similar to that. I didn't have the right colours. What did I do? There's actually a piece missing on the furniture here, so this should be quite interesting. I'm just going to do and run it up here like that, just so it kind of looks like the other one. I never even noticed that. Did you, Martin?
No.
Just when I went to paint it. I thought before it looked a little bit different. I don't want to go over the white, but it's going to be all the way down. And all round here as well with the same. And this colour I'm using is actually, because I can never quite get this colour with the colours I've got, it's this, oh, don't want that. It's the same acrylic paint that I always use. It's a yellow ochre. And I've added some furl, which is limey green, which I don't have any left on my palette because I've used it all, and a little bit of Hornflower. And this is the mix that I've got, and this is what I'm using. I've mixed up more than I need because I think I'm going to do here on my feet, but I don't want to do that yet until it's had its second coat. But I was just showing you where I'm going to do the feet yellow. This is going to be yellow, and all around these little borders is going to be yellow. And I'm just going to go off and do that. And once I've done this, we'll get to the top. Okay, I've got a little bit of white on this piece of card. I'm hoping you can see it. I've got a stamp here. Any sort of stamp that you think is going to kind of recreate what you're doing really is a good thing. This one here is the IOD Pavo stamp, I think. Right, now there isn't going to be a huge amount of rhyme or reason to this. I'm just going to apply it around the front, really, in a line. I'm not going to do this back part. And, you know, I'm okay if some of it comes out and some of it doesn't, because if you look at the background inspo that we're trying to copy, you know, this is what I'm wanting to do. So, I mean, I don't want to be, that could be, you know, that way a disaster waiting to happen. I'd rather roll it on a piece of card. Sometimes you can get away with it if you're stamping, but if you're using paint, it's just not worth the aggravation. Right, okay, and I'm just going to do, kind of join this on here to here, and I'm going to do the same on the other side, and I'm going to run this around the front. Once it's dry, I'm going to be getting this leaf shape. This is from, isn't it? It's the one with the pumpkin on it from IOD. But can you see this shape here? It's kind of similar. All I would need to do is I'm just going to paint them in plain once they're done, because these are plain. There's no veins in them. So I'm just going to make a sort of curly part. But when we get to that, I'll show you. I'll stamp them out, and when it comes to painting, I'll show you what I'm going to do. Okay? So as I said, I've stamped on just in a very light grey, just so it's not too dark, because I'm not stamping over the top of this. I've just done the leaf. Now, the one we're trying to recreate here is very simple compared to the leaf I'm trying to do. You know, it's just got it's got four kind of, and the bottom bit's kind of fluted. So what I've been doing is I've just been painting it in. I've not been painting it in perfectly because the original, the one I'm trying to create, isn't as jaggy, but you know, as much as I can. So I'll stop doing that, because you know what it's like when you paint the shape in. So I'm painting these in like that, and this is what I'm ending up with. And then what I'm doing is I'm just trying to recreate how the sort of shape of the other one, and then this one goes around like this, and this one, and then I'm just kind of making them meet. I've got one more to do, or two more to do here, and then bring this part down the leaf here. There's a couple of bits of grey showing there that I'm just trying to get rid of. I don't want them. Just painting in quite quick. And this here. Now I can really see this here needs to be a bit thicker. It's not the same as that shape, but it is kind of like that shape. And sometimes, you know, if it's kind of similar, it kind of works. I mean, you could go to extreme lengths and do a point and a point and a point and a point like that on it to make it slightly more like the original. You could do that if you wanted to, but that's all. I'm just keeping it simple. Something like that. Something like that, Mary, I'm saying it.
Yep.
Yeah. Does that look kind of like that one? Kind of. Does it?
Yeah. Didn't realise you were asking me.
Well, I'm not asking them. They can't answer me.
No, I think.
Well, maybe they are answering me. I don't know. They go, no.
I think the same as you. So, you know, like,
yeah,
it doesn't have to be exact.
It doesn't have to be exact. Now I've put these little jaggy bits on here. I'll have to go and do it on the rest, because I've done 1, 2, 3, 4. I've done 5, 6 of them, and I've got to go around this edge here. But if you kind of look at here and then kind of go to here, here and here, I've got all my white detailing, which I put in with this. I've got the sort of detail in the back with my stenciling, and then I've got the leaves here, which are there. So I had intended to, in this part here, to do greens and reds and deal with this and do that, a sort of kind of blend into the edge. But I am actually thinking, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm thinking I was going to say it's simple enough, but I know it's not a simple design, but what I'm trying to say is,
Yeah.
I don't want
Does
it to.
it need it? No.
No, I think why am I doing that? Because it doesn't need it, I don't think. So I'm just going to be happy with my leaves. Now, once I finish my leaves and let it dry, I'm going to be sealing this with French Chic Tough Top Coat. But the handles, I looked for handles that were appropriate, couldn't find any. And you know the piece that I did as the William Morris piece, and it had those beautiful handles and it had these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have these, but I'm going to spray them white. And I've got enough of them to do that. So, and I've got some smaller ones as well if I wanted to put smaller ones on it. But yeah, so I've got white spray paint. I'm going to put these out in the wind. So that I can dry them, and then these are going to go on here like this. It maybe feels like a shame to spray these ones, and I've got a lot of vintage handles, but the thing is, why am I keeping them? May as well use them. I mean,
Yeah, I agree with you.
Why hoard things away in a drawer? And there wasn't enough of these to go back on the original piece. I have bags of these bags, so I think instead of putting anything new on it, let's just go and just make them. I've never done this before, just spray painted vintage plain white. So I think that will give it enough contrast. You want it contrast, but you want it to blend in, so that's what I'm going to do. So it's done. Now I understand that this paper isn't going to be available until the end of July. However, you could use any Made by Marley furniture to kind of, I mean, quite a lot of it's sort of bougie that you could do this kind of look with. What was it difficult? This is one of the most simple pieces of furniture I think I've ever done. It is not complicated at all. Just a little bit of blending around here. And as I said, if you don't like to blend and you're not good at blending, just use the other half of the piece of sheet and just fussy cut parts over it to make it all work. And then you don't have to do that. I chose to do that, but you don't have to. What can I say about it? I love the handles that came off the vintage William Morris piece. Sprayed those white. I got my parrots on the top. I did a lot of different layers, and it's also got the leaf and the scroll design on it. And it's pretty, I mean, although it's busy on the front, it's pretty understated for me. I did do the inside of the cabinets, and so I kept the parrot theme going inside. I didn't stamp around there. I thought that was probably just enough to stop there. And painted and refreshed them inside as well. The cupboards didn't really particularly need it, but I had this paper and I thought I'm just going to make a whole thing out of it. So that's what I did. That's us today, really. I put the little tips of the mustard on the feet. And I did go back because remember I said to you in the beginning I'd only done some of it a singular coat. These parts here and the sides, because I haven't done anything with the sides for once. I've just kept it really pared down, because it although it's pared down for me, it's quite busy, so I was quite happy with it. So I had to go back and give the sides a second coat. So that's all been done as well. It's all been appropriately sealed with French Chic Tough Top Coat sealer. This is the sealer I use, but just use your preferred sealer, whatever one works for you. And you can decoupage across, obviously you can seal our decoupage paper with that, and wax, and anything else you want. It'll even take a heavier gloss shiny sealer or an outdoor sealer, so you can use it out, put our paper outside as well. I mean, it will fade in the sun eventually, but there's nothing much I can't be responsible for.
Everything fades in the sun.
Yeah, apart from me, because we don't get any sun here. I'm never going to fade. All right then, so we've been Marty and Lel from Made by Marley. If you've liked this video, give us a like, give us a share, give us a thumbs up. Leave us a lovely comment, and please do not forget to subscribe. If you've been watching me for a while now and you haven't subscribed, come on. I mean, what more can I do? I mean, I've done all the looks. You just have to get on board. So please subscribe. Martin, do you have anything to add to the begging that I've just done?
No, all I would say is, and this has come from, you know, lots of videos and lots of channel member content and things like that. I would say, be brave. I know sometimes you might look at Lel's work and think, oh, I can't do that, but you really can. You really can. And the decoupage papers certainly help.
So quick. I mean,
yeah,
quick, aren't they, Martin?
But it is just a case of just be brave, dive in, do it. That's all I've got to say.
He even said, kind of like partway through this project, he was like, we're at this stage already. And I was saying, the good thing about decoupage paper is it does the majority of the work for you. You don't really need to do that much. You know, once it's on, you know, you're away. So anyway, fabulous. Right, we'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.